Hello everyone, welcome to this new video about custom messages in ROS2. Last week I uploaded a video in which I created a simulator which was simulating the scoreboard of a match between Real Madrid and Barcelona. It was showing us the results that is usually displayed on the scoreboard. For example, a goal is scored, so from 0-0 it becomes 1-0, and if an away team scores a goal it becomes 1-1 and so on. So I uploaded this video last week and I promised you that I will upload its code. So in this video I will give you line by line, code by code, everything related to that and how to create your own scoreboard for any football match you want. And for that, what we will do is that we will use custom messages. The main aim of this video is that how do we use custom message in a ROS2 to create or make a simulator of this kind. The idea behind using custom messages is that we want to avoid creating a lot of publishers and just make one publisher that will call the custom message. So the code becomes efficient, and even doing the programming it becomes efficient and it takes less time. So for example, for the same football match, if there is a football match and there is a like 5-0 score and different players keep on scoring, so we can have different scenarios. For example, one player scored, then second player scored. We can also have like injuries and many other stuff going around in a football match. So what we will need to do is that we can solve these problems or display these results using different publishers. I will give you an example of a drone. If a drone flies in the air, so we have its height, we have its velocity, you can say we have acceleration, different states, roll angle, pitch angle, yaw angle. So in order to publish all the information of these variables and states, what we can do is that we can create different publishers, like publisher for velocity, publisher for altitude, publisher for acceleration, battery timing, and many more variables and parameters. But that is an inefficient way, because what happens is that you will have to write different publisher for different parameter. You have to write publisher for velocity, then acceleration, position, and many other stuff. So to solve this problem, actually, what we can do is that we can define one custom message, and that custom message will contain all the information. So by doing that, we will only need to create one publisher. So this is what we are going to do for this simulator of a football match between Real Madrid and Barcelona. We will create one custom message. It will contain different variables such as home team, away team, goals scored, match time, goal time, and many other stuff. And we will create only one publisher to call that custom message. So the idea is, and the project, the programming that we will do now, it is divided into 4 steps. So you can already see in the screen that first we will do is to create packages. Okay, then we will create custom messages, publisher and subscribers, and if needed, at the end we will do debugging. Debugging is really needed when we want to improve our code, or if there is like small mistake, for example, typing mistake. Instead of writing Real Madrid REAL, if I write RAEL, so there will be a mismatch between spelling, so we'll have a mistake. So debugging will be done if there is a mistake. Otherwise, we will have only 3 steps: create packages, custom messages, and then write the code for publisher and subscriber. So let's go and start this programming for the simulator. So first I will clean this window. As always, the first step is to open the folder where we place all our packages. Okay. The first step is to create the package. So what we need to do is that we need to access the folder of SRC. So we have accessed that folder, and now you can see what is inside this folder by writing ls. So when you type ls and press enter, you will see you may have a lot of packages already installed in your directory. So I've been working with ROS and I installed all these packages. So you may have no packages, or you may have more than the packages I have. You could have different packages. So don't worry about that. Okay. What we will do is that we will create a new package instead of using the packages that we already created. So first step is to create packages. So how do we create package? It is very simple. So in order to create package, what we need to do is that create a ROS2 package create. Okay. And then we have to define its build type. Okay. And AMENT remake. And then we have to name the package. It is very easy actually. Just one command, and right at the end you have to name it. Now there is a question: why do we use AMENT CMake, and for the publisher and subscriber package we will be using Python? So I will explain that to you later on. So first of all, what we need is that we need to create package or custom message. ROS2 package create build type AMENT underscore CMake. If I have not made any mistakes, so it will create a package, but I have to name it. So let's call this as El Clásico. Let's use small alphabet. El Clásico, okay, interfaces. Okay. So I will be naming them as El Clásico interfaces, and the package that we will create for the scoreboard will also be named as El Clásico. So it will create this package. So how do we know this package is created? I will write ls again, and you can see over here El Clásico interfaces package has been created. So now we need to access this folder. El Clásico interfaces. By the way, you can name it anything you want. Okay, so don't worry about these names. If you prefer another name, you can name it accordingly. But I suggest you that for custom messages, always write these interfaces at the end of that package. So we can see what is inside this. So you can see that we have cmake lists.txt include package xml and src folder. Now we need to create a folder with the message extension. So the command is make directory mkdir and message. So you will see we will have a message folder created. How do we know that? Once again, I will write ls, and I can see my message folder is created over here. Now I have to open this folder. How do we open this? cd msg, and we will see there is nothing inside that folder. Okay. Now we can create our custom message. So let's name it as El Clásico. You can think of like any name, El Clásico, just name it as, okay, let's name it like this, El Clásico scoreboard. El Clásico scoreboard message. Okay, El Clásico scoreboard. So this is created. Now, when we write nano command, it actually opens that file. So this writing this extension of MSG was very important. So okay, don't forget to write this MSG extension. Now nano command actually creates and opens that file. So in this file, what we need to do is that we can define all the parameters and variables that we want to use. Okay, I told you we had velocity, acceleration, position, roll angle, and everything related to drone with us. So instead of creating different publisher, the idea is to use custom message, and in this custom message, we have to define all the variables and parameters. So we, in a football match, we have home team and away team. So let's name them like this. Home team. Okay, it should be string because it uses alphabets, right? Then away team. Okay. In football match, we have goals scored. And if you notice, goals scored are always 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So what we can do is that we can define it as integer. Integer 32. Integer 32. Away. Okay. Similarly, we have goal time. For example, a goal is scored at 9 minute 53rd second, right? You also have match time that can also be defined in points. So instead of using integer, what we can do is that we can use float 32. So goal time, float 32 for match time. And similarly, you can create many other variables. So the main six parameters or variables associated with a football match are home team, away team, their goals, goal time, and match time. So you see, now we created these six variables. So instead of creating six publisher separately, you have to do a lot of programming in Python and everything. We have solved that problem by defining them only in this custom message file. So now we will only create only one, not custom message, only one publisher, right? So we will not have to create publisher separately for away team, home goal, away goal, and so on. So this is the custom message idea, and why it improves the code is because you don't have to create a lot of publisher. Just one publisher will do your job. So once we define this, after that we have to save it. So how do we save? Control O, enter, and Control X. If in case you want to read it, so you can write cat score code, so it will print the code inside this .msg file and show us that we have done this, and we define this string home team, away team, goals, and everything. Now our package is created. We have also created the custom message inside that, right? And next, what we need to do is that we need to go back to this folder to finalize everything in this interface package. So how do we go back? Right, cd minus, it will go back to the previous folder. If you write ls, you will see we have CMake lists, include message. Message contains this custom message file inside that folder, and we have package.xml and src. If you notice, we have these white colored files over here. So they're actually very important. We need to edit these files for this package. So how do we edit these files? Once again, we will write nano package.xml. Remember, this nano package, you will have to use it a lot if you are using ROS2, because this also opens and edits the file. If it does not exist, then it creates and open that file. Previously, you saw I wrote this nano over here, and then this Clásico scoreboard file was created with extension .sg, and then it also opened it. So now the file exists. So it will simply open this, and it will be an editable file. So what we need to do is that nano package.xml, and it will open this file. So you can see it already has some code already written inside this. We just have to modify few stuff over here, and we will be good to go. So what we need to define here is that we simply have to write two commands, and they are actually very easy to remember and also very easy to write, because you don't have to edit your whole code. You just have to add few files to this code. And how do we do that? It is very easy. We just have to add some default generators and also interface packages, and they are just straightforward commands. So you don't have to understand a lot of programming for that. You just have to memorize these two commands and add it in this file. Now you will have a question that where exactly do we need to add these two commands? So you should remember that you should not add it between these two export lines. Okay, you can add it before that or after that. Both of them are okay. And what are the codes? So let's write it down over here. So let's add it before that. So it's actually very easy. You have to write this depend, okay, ROS IDL before IDL. If I make any mistake, you should be careful about that. So I made a spelling mistake, so it would have given us an error later on. If I make any mistake, you need to avoid that and write the correct spellings. Okay, so ROS IDL default generators, and then close this, depend. Okay, and the second command, once again, depend ROS IDL default, and then runtime. Okay, so these are the two commands that we need to add over here. Spelling should be correct. Okay, after writing this command, we can save this, but there is one more command that we need to add, and that is for interface packages, because we have to tell ROS that we are using custom message. So you also need to add one more command, and that one is member of group. Okay, ROS IDL. I have to be very careful with spellings. Interface packages. Okay, and then close this with member of. Okay. So we have actually added 3 commands in total. So one for default generators, one for default runtime, and then another one is to tell it that we are using interface packages. That means we will be calling custom messages. So once this is done, we simply have to write control, not write actually, we have to press Control O, then enter, and then Control X. So it will be saved. In case you want to read it, so you need to write cat package.xml, and you will see that we have added these 3 lines over here. Okay, once this is done, we need to see what files do we have in this folder. So we also have cmake lists.txt file. Okay, so we also need to add some command to this. So how do we do that? Let's open cmake lists.txt. So it will open this file. So we just have to add some package, 1 or 2 commands to this, because it is already set up for us. You can see it is telling us uncomment the following section in order to fill in, or this is like finding dependencies. So we simply have to fill a couple of lines over here, and this file will be ready for us. So how do we do that? This is also very easy, similar to package.xml. We just have to add few commands, and it is done by adding few commands over here. We can simply directly edit these files, but I suggest just don't use them and create your own code over here, so you can get some practice. So what command do we have to add is that find package. You see it's already written up there. Okay, so it is very easy to remember, but we have to add this ROS IDL default generators. We wrote this command in package.xml, right? So it is same as that, and we have to write that this is required. After that, ROS IDL generate interfaces, and we have to fill this bracket over here. Okay, so this is done very easily, and that is like $. Okay, and inside that we have to write project name, okay, and then we have to tell it from the custom message that we created. So if you remember, we created this message folder, and inside that we created this Clásico scoreboard dot message. Okay, so that's it. We have to add this command only. So once again, find package, this command is same as this one, which is already existing in this text file. We simply have to write this one, ROS IDL default generators, because this is what we defined in the package file. We have to tell it that this is required, and after that ROS IDL generate interfaces for the project name, and we should tell it that our custom message is placed in this folder. I just want to confirm this spelling. So if you also need to confirm this message, this spelling, I will tell you how do we do that. So first, let's save it. Control O, enter, Control X. Confirming spelling is actually very easy. You scroll up there, you can see El Clásico scoreboard. So E is capital, S is capital, B is capital. So I will print this make lists, and we can confirm this from here. So El Clásico scoreboard dot message, El Clásico scoreboard message, and we can go back Clásico scoreboard dot message. So if there is no mistake in this, then we will not get an error related to this package. So everything is done for the custom message. Now, after that, what we need to do is that we need to go back to the main folder of ROS to space. I just want to show you that I have used this El Clásico interfaces folder and placed everything inside that. Whatever we did above or previously, that is placed inside this folder. Next, we need to create another package. Okay, so remember, when you create custom messages, you have to create one package only specifically for that message. And for publisher and subscriber, you need to create a different package where you will do programming for publisher and subscriber. So now we will create a package for our publisher and the subscriber. So how do we create package? I already told you, ROS2 package create, and then we have to tell it build type. Okay, and now we will be using AMENT Python. Okay. Previously I used CMake, but now we will be using Python. We use CMake because that creates and generates the custom code behind the scenes that we cannot see, and that is compatible with C language, Python, and other languages. So that's why we use CMake. But for publisher and subscriber, we will be creating this Python package that is dependent on Python, because when we create publisher and subscribers, that will be coded inside Python. You will say that when we create publisher and subscriber. Now we have to name this package something. So previously we called that El Clásico interfaces. So let's call this as El Clásico match. Okay. I will name this this score. Okay, let's call it El Clásico scoreboard. Okay, we can name it anything. It's up to you. Okay, so I will just name it as El Clásico scoreboard, or if you want, you can simply name it as El Clásico as well. So let's name it El Clásico. So you will see it creates this package. In order to see this package, I will write ls and press enter, and you can see here is our El Clásico package. In order to open this, we will write cd El Clásico, and it will take me to that folder. Now I will write ls, and it will show me the files inside this folder. So we can see we have El Clásico module. This is Python module. This is package.xml setup, configuration, setup.py represents Python extension, and test. First of all, before creating your publisher and subscriber, I always recommend this, and I always suggest this, to connect this package with the interface package. And how do we do that? We simply have to add few commands to this package.xml in this new package that we created. The package which we created is El Clásico. It has this package.xml. Don't get confused with this. This package.xml is for this package of El Clásico. Previous one was for that interface package. Okay, so don't get confused with this. So first of all, what we need to do is that we need to edit this package.xml file and connect it. Like, I don't know if this connect it is a professional word or a proper word, but what I want to explain to you is that this command will actually connect this package with the interface package we created earlier. So once again, how do we do that? We simply have to open this package.xml. You will see we already have these codes over here. Previously, we added 3 commands to it. Now we will add few commands once again over here, and we will be calling that custom messages. And for this one, it is actually very straightforward. We simply have to add this one command. Okay, depend. Okay, and here we will write the interface package that we created. Okay, and let's call it ASD anything. I forgot the spelling of that package, so I will look back. And then we have to close that. So in this ASD, whatever I wrote over here, we have to write the package name that we created for the interfaces. So let's save this first, Control O, Enter, and Control X. So I will scroll up here. So we can see we created this El Clásico interfaces. Okay, so we created this package. You can also scroll back to this line. El Clásico interfaces with small alphabets. So you have to be very careful about alphabets, their spellings, whether it is a capital alphabet, small alphabet, you have to be very careful. So we see this is El Clásico interfaces. So I will go back over here and open package.xml and write this El Clásico interfaces over here. So this is very straightforward. If it's telling this package that look for this package of El Clásico interfaces, and there is a custom message, we will be using that. How to save it? Control O, Control Enter, and Control X. Okay, so that's it with the package.xml. Let's see, we have these files. Now I will go inside this El Clásico Python module. Okay, so let's go to that folder, El Clásico. So we will see it has nothing inside over here. So we will create our publisher and subscriber over here. Just one more conceptual point. Often you may see people using this command, cd ROS2 workspace src El Clásico and then El Clásico again. Okay, you may see people using this long command. Why I did not use this command previously? Because I was already inside these folders, so I was just moving around in that folder and used to write cd and take me to this folder. But if you are in the main folder, for example here, if you see in the last line, I'm in the main folder, or you can say home page. So then I have to write this whole command. So ROS2, inside that we have src, and then we have this package El Clásico, and then we have this Python module El Clásico. One more key point, that don't get confused with these two same words. First one represents the Python package, second one represents the Python module. Okay, or should I say, first one represents the ROS2 package, and second one represents Python module inside that. So you have to write this command. You can see it goes to that folder, and if you write ls, you will see we have this one initialization file with Python extension and nothing else. So what we need to do here is that we need to create our own publisher and subscriber. So I think by now you already know how to create any file. So it is very simple. You simply have to write nav, and you can write anything after that, and it will create that file. But the important point is to write extension of that file. Okay, so now we want to create Python file. So we must write .py at the end of this publisher. Now to create publisher, let's name it as El Clásico publisher.py. One thing that I learned throughout this learning curve of ROS2, and I want to share it with you so you can learn it now instead of later on learning it the hard way. So I always suggest that use this package name first, then write underscore and publisher. When I started learning ROS2, I used to name them randomly, football score underscore publisher, okay, and something like that. So that used to confuse me later on when I had a lot of files. By creating a name in this way, that helps me remember, because I already know the package name is El Clásico, so I can name this as El Clásico, and that I know that I'm creating publisher, so I will simply write that package name underscore publisher. Okay, so this is just a suggestion from my side. You can still name it anything you want, but my suggestion will be to use the package name underscore, and then publisher. If later on we will create subscriber, you will see I will name it as El Clasico underscore subscriber. So similarly, we can do anything we want with it. And my suggestion is, once again, use package name here, and then whatever you want to create after that, just simply add underscore between them. So to create this publisher, we will write nano El Clasico publisher py, okay, and it will create this file and open it. So you can see we have El Clasico publisher.py file. Now we will create this. Okay, we have actually already created this publisher. Now we will do programming inside this Python file. I can directly give you this code, but my suggestion is understand how do we code this. When I started learning ROS2, and I was learning from here and there, all these sources, they were giving me codes directly. So I could copy, paste, and run the code. You can in fact see one of my video, maybe one or two videos on my channel. I have given you the codes there already. So you can simply copy, paste, and everything will work for you. But my suggestion is to learn how do we write code in this Python extension. Actually, it is very easy and straightforward once you understand the structure of this code. So the structure actually is divided into 4 steps. First, third, and fourth, they are actually more or less the same in all the codes. Your main programming part will be the second part of the structure. So you will see here that how do we break down this whole code into 4 parts. First part, always and forever, will be to import libraries. So how do we import libraries? We simply have to write import RCLY, okay? And then we will tell this code that from this RCLPY.node, you should import node, okay? One more thing that I learned by programming again and again, that this n should be capital, okay, not small one. Now, if you are creating a publisher without custom messages, so previously we did this, that std messages not message import string, okay. Similarly, for float messages dot message import int32, let's say. So we have these 3 types of data in that custom message. So we have to write it again and again for different publishers, okay. So now we are using custom message. So we will not use these default commands that are used in ROS2. What we need to do is that from that folder, from that interface package, so interface package was Clásico interfaces, okay. So now you will understand why I added that command in the package.xml few minutes ago. So from this package import, and what was the name of the custom message? El Clásico scoreboard, right? This was, I think, the name of that message. But I have to define this message over here to tell it that we are talking about message. I will double check this name because I don't want to make any mistakes that we will have to do a lot of debugging at the end. So this is actually now the first part of the code. I told you there are 4 parts, or if you divide the structure of this code. So there are 4 parts. First one is to import libraries. So let's save this, and because I want to confirm this name. So how do we save this? Control O and Control X. So I simply have to scroll back over here. And if you see, the name is El Clásico scoreboard. So E is capital, S is capital, P is capital. Everything else is written in small alphabets. So El Clásico scoreboard.message. So I will open this file again. So El Clásico scoreboard. Now, why not write .message over there? Because we have already told this package call this message. We don't need to write .message over here. So this is the first step. Now, next step is, which is the second part of this code and the important one, we have to name this class. So let's call it as El Clásico scoreboard publisher. Okay, and simply write node over here. So this is the second part. We will do some definitions over here. Let me tell you the third and fourth part, so you feel confident that it is actually very easy. So third and fourth part is that we will define. Usually, when you read books, they call this third part as the main code. But in my opinion, this is very straightforward. So because you will see, you will be using the same lines and commands mostly. So define main args is equal to none. Then tell this node, or you can say ROS2, that wake up. We have a program running over here. So for that, we write this command. And which node is running? So we will define football. And Clásico. I have to write this name exactly over here without spelling mistakes. Okay. So L class, and now you will realize why I wrote this third structure now, so I can directly look at the above lines and not make any spelling mistake. Okay. Then we have to tell this code that we want this to keep running until we want to stop it. So rclpy dot spin. Okay, spin what? It should spin node. These are built-in commands. And then we have to write destroy node in case we want to stop the simulation. And how do we do that? rclpy shutdown. Okay, so this is actually the third part. Let me add these comments so it will be easy to remember. This the above one is the first part. Now this is the third, and now I will add the fourth part. So you can see clearly we have 4 parts or 4 stages of this code. The last one is actually the most easiest part of this code. You simply have to write this line. Okay, if name is main, so main. That's it. So these are the 4 parts of this code. First one is to import the libraries. Second one is class. Third one is to define and call this class file. And at the end, we have to write this command. Now, this one, in my opinion, the second part is more important and more like involves a lot of programming skills over here. But once again, it is actually very, very easy once you understand the structure. You understood the structure that we have 4 parts, right? Now, this again, this class part has a basic structure that you need to follow. So how do we do that? It is actually very simple. Let's leave some lines over here. So define init, right? And self. Sorry, let's add some tabs over here. Define init and self. That's it. And the second one is, you will see define timer fallback. Define timer fallback self. I think this is the 2 parts of this second part. Okay. If you notice, there is a structure. So we will just be filling each part over here. So once you define this initialization, after that, what we need to do is that we have to name the node. So how we do that? It's actually super initialization. That is how I call it. I don't know what is the professional term for it. So super init, and then we name this node. So let's name it as El Clásico scoreboard publisher. This name will be displayed to us later on when we write the executable command. After this, we have to create our publisher. So let's name it as self publisher. And we have to tell it create dot, sorry, not create, because we are talking about self, create publisher. Okay. In this file, we have to create self.timer, so self.create timer. Okay, that's it. Sorry, create underscore timer brackets. Okay, so if you notice, this is just like a structure, and we simply have to fill the information in this code. First one is divide the whole code into 4 parts, import libraries, class, definition, and then at the end that if command. In the second structure, we have to initialize it and we have to create a timer callback. Okay. Now in the initialization, we have to name the publisher. Okay. So this is publisher node. Then we have to create a publisher and we have to create a timer because we need that for a football match. And football match starts, so the time also keeps on increasing, right? Now, when you create this publisher, so you have to write some data over here, right? We are telling it that create publisher, but what is inside this publisher? What do we have to create? It should know the information, right? So that is actually very straightforward. Simply have to tell it that we have a custom message. Its name was El Clásico scoreboard. We have called this right over here in the third line. Okay. After this, we have to name a topic. Okay. And remember this, you will see later on also, this topic name should be same that should be used in subscriber. So let's call this as El Clásico goal score. Let's call it as goal scores. Okay, goal score. Just let's keep it as goal score. Okay. And after that, we have to write 10. You can write 100 or 1, whatever you feel best. The reason is this 10 represents the information that is stored in the window. Okay. So if the time is increasing 1 by 1, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it reaches 10. So, and if we are working in another window, so this publisher should actually store the last 10 data it should publish. Okay. For example, from 0 to 10, or if we talk from 7 to 17, okay. So it should store the last 10 data that is sent. After that, what we need to do is that we need to create a timer. Okay. Once again, this is very straightforward. You will see. I hope you are understanding the code, the structure, and you feel motivated that it is very easy. Now we have to create the timer. For timer, we actually don't need to write a Clásico scoreboard because we know we want to increment the time from 0 to 90 minutes. But in this scoreboard, I cannot simulate this for 90 minutes. Okay. What I will do is that I will break down each minute into 1 second. So when 1 second passes, it will actually simulate 1 minute. So our simulation will run for whole 90 seconds. That will represent 90 minutes. So I will directly write 1.0. Directly tell this publisher that our incremental time is 1.0 second. And after that, self dot timer callback. Okay, so this is important. This timer callback is defined later on. You can see below, we will define it over here. Once we have created publisher and timer, we are ready to go to the next step. And the next step is actually we have to initialize our scores. Before a football match starts, we know the name of home teams and away teams. We also know the goal scored is 0, right? So what we need to do is that we simply, I will remove this comma, by the way. I think it is not needed. We will see. I think it is not needed because we have already added bracket over here. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's write a comment over here. Team's name. Okay, so I will simply call it a self home team equal to Real Madrid. Okay, now self dot away team equal to Barcelona. Now, one key point that you should remember is that this home team and away team, we have defined them in the custom message we created earlier. Okay, so these are the team names. You can, if you are creating the whole table, let's say of Premier League or Spanish La Liga, you can add all these names. But you will have to be careful about how you name them. At the moment, we are talking about one football match. So in one football match, actually, there are two teams. One is home team and another one is away team. After that, we can define score. Okay. So if you remember, we created this home goal. Okay, and it should be 0. The football match started, it was always 0. Okay. Self dot away goal equal to 0. Similarly, I can create the time also, right? When a match starts, initially time is 0. So what we need to do is that self goal time is equal to 0.0. Similarly, self match equal to 0.0. You see, it's very straightforward. In the class file, we defined this initialization and timer callback. Inside initialization, we created a publisher, and now we are initializing the whole scenario that there is a football team, there are 0-0 goals, time is still 0. So that's it for the part of initialization. Now the next part is related to this self timer that we already coded earlier. So we have to program this timer underscore callback. The reason is we have to tell this code that increase the time from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And this will also do some like simulation kind of. If a goal is scored, what happens? If a foul is committed, what happens? If a player is sent off, then we should have a message displayed that now we have 10 players on the field. That is for future project, I should say, for future projects. We are only simulating goal score over here, but I'm giving you an idea about that. So now in timer callback, what we need to do is that I will go to this section. First of all, we know this already, right? Our full match, I will write this as a comment. Whatever we write after this hash, really, it is a comment and not read by the code. We know this, that our full match is at 90 minutes, so we will stop the simulation over here. So it's actually very straightforward. If self dot match time, we already defined this up there. You can see here it is 0.0, right? You can see it over here. If the self time match is greater than or equal to, you can use equal to command also, but sometimes there is an extra time, so let's not go into that technical depth. I will define this as if self match time is greater than 90. Okay, so we should have self dot get logger. Okay, this is to display the message dot info, and then we have to fill this bracket. So inside this bracket, what we need to write is that f full time match is over. Okay, and at full time it should display the result. So self dot, this is the same variable that we defined, right? Then next to it, it should display, what should it display? Home team, so it should display home goals, right? Self dot home goal. I'm a bit worried that I may have made some mistake over here because of this color scheme. Yeah, okay, this is the mistake. We have to do it separately. I forgot to add this. Okay, so self dot home goal, we have this one extra, so I will remove that. Next one is dash, then f. We should see away goals. That's how a scoreboard is. Yeah, standard scoreboard is. We will see later on. And if you have watched any football match, so you will already know this. Like for example, here this will be Real Madrid 2 goals dash 3 goals dash Barcelona, something like that. Okay. So this is about the full time. When a match is finished, so it will display us this information. So, and after that, what we need to do is that we have to write f again. Okay. self dot awaiting. It's very easy, right? And then we have to close this if loop. So if loop is closed. If loop is used only for this 90 minutes reach. So when 90 minutes are reached, it will display this message. But we have to stop the simulation also, right? So how do we stop that? We simply have to tell it self dot timer dot cancel. Okay, simply this, and then tell it to destroy the node. If you remember, we wrote this in the third part as well, but that will keep running until 90 minutes is reached, and this for this 90 minutes part, and then return. Okay, so we have programmed the last part of the match. Now what we need to do is that we simply have to display the message, right, that when simulations are performed. So how do we do that? We simply have to write message is equal to. So what was the message that we created? If you recall, Clásico score code. So we simply have to write that over here. Here, El Clásico score code. Okay. Now inside this message, what we need to do is that we need to define once again home team, because we will have goals scored. Later on we defined this, but we were defining it right at the beginning of the football match when everything was 0-0. When goals will be scored, this information will change, right? So this should be message dot home team is equal to self dot. It will take the information from up there and tell us that it is 0. But later on, when goal will be scored, this information will be changed. So next is away team. Okay. Similarly for goals, so home goal is equal to self home goal. I'm typing it a bit quickly, so I hope that I don't make any mistake. Similarly for time, message dot goal time is equal to self that goal time. I think this was the message we create custom. We added this in the custom file. Message dot goal time is equal to self dot goal time. Then message dot match time is equal to self dot match time. So initially these will be 0. As the simulation progresses, this information will be changed. Next is how do we code the next part of information of goal scored, all that stuff. So we already know this. I told you up there in the if loop that self dot get logger bracket, this actually logs the info, and then we have to fill this bracket over here. Okay, so how do you fill this? Simply have to go to the next line, and similarly f score. Now this score will be displayed as we want it to be displayed. Okay, so this green text is without bracket, so you can write anything over here. So what is the score? Score, it should show us message dot. Okay, then again state message dot home goal, right? Then dash f message dot away goal. I will explain to you why we are writing exactly the same line from up there. Just wait a moment and let me complete this. Message dot away. If we want to add the time also, so f, it will keep showing us match time. So this is once again outside bracket, so it will be displayed as it is, and this will read the code message dot message time It shows minute. That's shows minute. By the way, some developers, what they do is that they don't prefer to write all this long code. So what they do is that they write it like this, so they can easily read it. Okay, that's what they do. So let's follow that way because it's easy to see actually is happening in one window. Okay, that's it. The get logger. Yeah. Okay. So I was telling you why do we need to write this command again? Because it's very easy to understand. The previous command in if loop, we were telling it to show us the final result. Finally, at full time, this will be the result. Before that, when we are, let's say, at 5th minute, 6th minute, or 7th minute, so we will only be using this line of codes over here. Okay. So if you don't want to stop the simulation at 90th minute, it will keep running forever. So you can remove this line, then it will be running. So this part is just to tell it that at 90th minute, you should stop the simulations and show us the results. That's it. So don't get confused with this information. Now we have logged the information. Now we have to tell this simulator or simulation that we have to increase the match clock, right? I will write it in comments. Simulation time, right? 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So it's very easy to define that. Self.match simulation would change by 1 second, right? 1.0, you can also write 1. Next is to define goal events. Now this is the important part, goal events. So how do we define that? Once again, we can use if loop over here. Self dot match time. Okay, let's say at 9th minute, let's say you can write 10th minute, 11th minute, any time within 90 minutes. Let's say if 9th minute is arrived and we tell our simulation self dot home goal plus equal to 1. So what this will do is that at 9th minute, it will tell the simulator that a goal is scored by home team. So self goal time will also need to be stored, right? So goal time, we define this and we will tell it that at this match time, goal was scored. And if you want to print it, so how do we print it? Self dot get logger. I think you may have already memorized this by now. Self dot get logger bracket dot info, and inside this info we write our message. So what we need to write over here is, if we are talking about Real Madrid as home team, so we can define our message like this: goal Real Madrid scored at 9 minutes. Okay, this is the message. You can write any message you want. You can also write goal Barcelona conceded at 9th minute. Okay, so whatever you prefer, you can write it over here. So this closes the self logger. So I think we are missing one bracket over here, but I'm not sure. We will see later on, because this bracket is for info, and if loop does not have any bracket here. I want to see if I add it over here. Okay, it was not written over here as well. So we will see if there is a mistake. We will see it later on. Similarly, for the away team, we can do it again. If self dot match time is equal to, let's say in second half, away team scores a goal at 57th minute. Okay, so self dot away goal is equal to 1. Self dot goal time. Okay, now this goal time should update. Previously it was 9th minute, so it should tell us goal is scored at 7th minute. And how do we print this information? Self dot get logger bracket dot info, and we have to write our message inside this bracket. So how do we write that message? Simply this goal Barcelona scored at 57 minutes. Okay, and then this self-logger is closed. So this is about home team scoring a goal and then away team scoring a goal. So I think this is about the publisher and it's finished. We will see later on if I missed out on something. The important part, just to review this code, we have 4 parts of this code. First one is import libraries. Second one is class. Just define this class. Let's skip this part for now. Third one is run the code. Okay, so define main arguments is equal to none. Run the code, how to stop it and shut down. And the last part is if main is equal to main, then this main brackets. Now in this class part, if you have seen my videos previously, it is actually very easy to understand. You have to initialize like init itself, and then you have to create a timer callback. Now in this init, you have to super initialize it, name the node, and then create your publisher. In this line, you can see we created a publisher. When we created a publisher, we had to tell it that use this custom message. We also named the topic. Okay, this one is the name of the node, and this one is the name of the topic, and store the information for 10. For 10 last data sent to it. You can write 100, 1, whatever you feel best. So 10 is that is what I learned, so I always use 10. After that, we created a self timer. It was easy. Simulation should run for every second, and it should call timer. So we created timer callback. Before that, what we did that we initialized the football match. Football match was initialized. We named the team. We set the goals to 0 and also to 0. Then in timer callback, which actually operates on the time of the simulation. First of all, what we did is that we told it that if 90 minutes are reached or the time is greater than 90, just stop the simulation, run this for that full time, home team, goal, and everything. And these 3 commands are for it to stop the simulation. Now, if you don't want to stop the simulation at 90 minutes, so you don't need to add this part. The main part is to write a message, which is a Clásico scoreboard, that custom message that we created. And we defined the data of that custom message. So that message, home team should store this information. Okay. So this home team is actually the custom message home team we defined. Okay. So message.home team represents that. And we are telling it that self.home team. So self.home team is initially 0. Real Madrid here. If later on we name it as the self.home goal, it will be 0. So we actually define and send the data to custom message. Okay, this is the main part of this code. Once that is done, we have to print the information once more, right? So I believe you have already memorized and learned this. How to print the information? Simply write self.getLogger brackets.info and then brackets again. In the bracket of info, you have to write this command. So you can directly write this double dot and write any message inside that. If you write without brackets, it will be displayed as it is. If you write it inside the brackets, for example, you see this parenthesis, I think it is called parenthesis. So it will read the information from the previous part. So it will read information from message.team. That's it. Then we defined the simulation time. It should increase by 1. You can write 2. So your simulation time will run from 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. You can write 3. So it will be 3, 6, 9, and so on. Okay. So it's your choice. I wrote 1. So I want to simulate this whole scenario for 90 seconds. That will display 90 minutes. Then during the match, I told it that we have events. Okay. What are the events? When match time reaches at 9, home goal should be increased by 1. So it was 0, it will become 1. And it should store the information over here. So information for what? Match time was 9. So it should tell us that at 9th minute, goal was scored. Again, we print it using self.getLogger bracket.info. For the await, same code, nothing changes actually. We just define 57th minute over here. And now, instead of home goal, we wrote away goal, okay, because we have already defined this in the custom message. And similarly for goal time and everything. Then we displayed the message again using self.getLogger bracket.info brackets, and inside the info brackets we display this message, and that's it. This is the code for the publisher. How do we save it? We will simply write Control O and then enter and Control X. Okay. Now publisher is created. That's it. Let's see if it is created. We can see we have this publisher. Let's display it as well. We can see it is displaying us this code. So it is successfully created, edited, and saved. Okay. Now next step is, let's see if we have this file over here. So let's go back to one previous folder. We will write cd minus ls. So sorry, I wrote the command incorrectly. So we can go to this folder using this src. It will show me all the packages that we have, and I will go to L Clásico folder ls. So you see we have already edited package.xml. Okay. Now we have to tell the setup.py also. We have created a publisher, and you must call that publisher. Now, what was the name of this publisher? Remember that. The name of the publisher is El Clásico publisher. I told you this El Clásico represents the package name, and underscore publisher is that I created this publisher. So it is very easy to remember. So when we open this setup.py, you will see we have a lot of code written over here. We simply have to go down here in console scripts and add this publisher over here. So it was L with green color. So I remember it from green color, so that's why El Clásico publisher will be equal to El Clásico. This is the package name dot El Clásico underscore publisher. Okay. So we have to add this command over here. Later on, when we will create subscriber, so we will add subscriber command also over here. So that's it. Just simply save it. So Control O, enter, Control X. Now we will go back to our main folder. Everything is ready for us. We will see. So we will go to this folder, and now we have to build these packages. So you saw earlier that I have a lot of packages installed. So I don't want to simply write Pulcon build. I will just target the packages that I want to build. So Pulcon build packages, select El Clásico interfaces. First of all, we have to build this one and then the package that we used for the publisher. Okay, remember this, because publisher that we created just now, it depends on the interface message. So first we have to build the interface message. Okay, so if everything is done correctly, when I press enter, it should build it. Let's see. So it is taking some time for building this package. So you see, I had a lot of packages installed. So if I install all of these packages, it might take a lot of time. So that's why I targeted this package directly. Then we have to source, install, setup, bash. Now after that, we'll come back to the El Clásico package that we created. And now you see, it is very easy to edit these commands. So you go Pulcon El Clásico package. So if there is no mistake, it should work. I hope so. And then once again, for this package of El Clásico, source, install, setup. So far, everything is good. Before running this publisher, I want to see the executables. Does it really call the executable publisher that we created? So ROS2 package executables El Clásico. If I have written this command correctly, should show me the publisher. So it shows me over here that El Clásico publisher is executable with us. Once again, sometimes it shows us, but we may have some mistakes inside the publisher code. For example, the spacing and all that stuff. So that error is usually not detected over here. So if we have that kind of an error, it will show us just now. If not, the code should work. So how do we do that? ROS2 run. Then the name of package is Clásico, and then the Python module that we created. So El Clásico. So you see once again why I suggested to name it as El Clásico, because it is very easy to remember. The package name El Clásico. Then publisher. So publisher is El Clásico publisher. I really hope there is no mistake in our code. If there is no mistake in our code, this will work and display the results to us. If there is a mistake in the code, then we'll go into the debugging and try to fix that mistake. And I think this is the good way to do live programming and record the videos like this, because you can learn step by step all the code. And if we make some mistake, we can also learn how to debug that part of the code. But once again, I hope there is no mistake and we can simply run this publisher. So let's go. So you see, it is telling us that we have made a mistake. Now, debugging in ROS2 might look like, oh my God, what happened? So actually, it's not like that. It simply tells us the exact point where we may have made the mistake. So you can see over here that the first thing it is telling me is that the mistake is somewhere in console script in the setup file that we added over here. So let's see that one. So I already noticed this. The next mistake that is pointing out over here is that in the publisher line 25, we have some mistake. So we will fix these mistakes. And any other mistake that, okay, El Clásico publisher, there is a mistake, and El Clásico publisher. So there are actually, so you see it is telling me message.home team is equal to self.home team. So self is not defined. So we need to see over here. So the main mistake that is it is detecting is that self.home team is not defined over here. I don't know why it is giving us this error. Maybe I wrote some spelling mistakes over the code over there in the code. So we will see that. So first of all, I want to see the setup.file, because it is telling me that console scripts some mistakes. So I will directly access that file. ROS to workspace src El Clásico. Okay, this is El Clásico. Now open. Let's print it instead of opening it to be sure. CF, not CFG actually, the Python. So El Clásico publisher. El Clásico underscore publisher is equal to El Clásico dot El Clásico publisher. I think there is no mistake. We just have to fix that one mistake. It pointed out up there that there is a mistake in self. So let's open that. Pretty straightforward. We first have to the Python module. Yes, we are in the correct folder. And Clásico publisher.py. Yes. So we have opened this file. So import libraries and everything. It is giving me an error in this self. So we will see what exactly is the mistake. So we have this initialization, everything is inside that. Then we have timer callback. Okay, the mistake is actually very straightforward here over here. We have defined this timer callback, but this message is actually outside that. Okay? Remember, I told you when I was writing this that we have to be careful about spacing. So to put it inside, we simply have to add stabs. I think is the only mistake. I mentioned this earlier, but just missed out on this. And then this also should be. Python is very sensitive to these kind of mistakes, so we have to be very, very careful such stuff. So self.message.time, this should also be inside that timer callback. So I'm going step by step with all of this. Now the issue is that when I add tabs like this, it actually creates the spacing mistakes. But I hope we will not have that mistake, because it is very difficult to fix the spacing mistake than these spelling mistakes. So that's it. Control O, enter, Control X. We simply have to go to main folder, ROS to workspace, and then build this again. Build, because whenever we do anything with the packages, we have to build it again. Packages, select L Classic. That's it. We'll install. By the way, I forgot if I have to update the Clásico interface. Okay, just to avoid the issue, let's do it right now. El Clásico. Let's do it for both of them. Interfaces. Previously, you remember it took a lot of time. So I really think instead of writing the command, I will simply press up key to install this packages again. And then you have to write this setup.bash. Now we can check the executables again, but actually we already know this, that it works. So ROS2 package name is El Clásico, and then El Clásico publish. So let's see if it is working. It is stuck in some loop. I think it is trying to publish the data, but we have missed out on some part of the publisher. So let me debug that. So we have actually mistakes in publisher once again. Thanks to ChatGPT for telling me where exactly are my mistakes. I will not copy paste the whole code because most of them are typing mistakes. I told you that if I make any spelling mistake or some typing mistake, you need to follow the correct one. So let's open the file. Firstly, ROS2 works. Once again, I wrote capital WS, so it would not have worked. SRC and possible. And to see the files, yes, we have files over here. Open and edit this publisher.py. So the first mistake is right here in the timer callback. We wrote this if command, right? And if time is not 90 minutes, it will go to this step, right? So as soon as it enters this step, it stops the simulation. So self.timer cancel, it cancels it. So that's why we never reach the part that is below this, and it returns the code to us. So we have to put this inside if command. So how do we do that? We simply have to add this tab over here. Another mistake that we made here is that self.home team, these should be inside the brackets, right? So here we did not add these brackets. So let's fix this. Now this is also another mistake. Away goal, this is incorrect. It should be self.away underscore goal. So you have to be very careful about these typing mistakes. Okay, so even now when I'm using these commands, I make mistakes. Maybe I got too tired while recording the video, but anyways, I hope this mistake is fixed now. Another mistake, according to ChatGPT, thanks to it once again, is the typo in the simulation time. And the third one, let's fix that first. It never publishes the data. By that, it means that when we wrote this message is equal to a classical scoreboard, I forgot. That is my mistake. I'm really sorry for that. I never wrote this command here to publish the information. So before logging the data, I think it is before logging the data. I will double check it now. Just let me see over here. Yes, before logging the data, what we need to do is that we need to add a command to publish the information. And it is actually very easy. command is self dot publisher dot publish. But publish what? The message that we defined up there. Okay, so we forgot this. Another mistake the ChatGPT told me is that the mistake in my timer. Here it is self dot match time. Match, I only wrote match, but this should be match time, right? Remember, this is what we defined in the custom message. Another mistake is here in the away goal. So this should be match time once again, because it does not know match timer. What we had is that it was match dot not match underscore time. So if we write match timer, it looks for that variable which does not exist here. Next mistake, your logger score string is broken. So let's see if it's made some mistake over here in this logger also. Yes, same mistake. I forgot to write this bracket. Okay. Yes, I think this mistake is also done. And last, but probably not the least one, it says main shutdown issue. So I have destroy node command over here. I think it should work. I think this is not a mistake, but let's see why it says this one. I will look for the code. So I think this is okay. And let's see. Control O, enter Control X. I ignored ChatGPT, which is usually right, but we will see. I am right. ChatGPT is right. The chances are ChatGPT will be right, but let's challenge. So after exiting the publisher file, I have to build it again. So I built the El Clásico package, full build packages select, and then this source command. Now I will run this El Clásico publisher, and it will give me an error, of course, because it is telling me directly the mistake is away goal. Did you mean away goal? So we need to go back to that folder, ls, nano. The good thing about ROS2 is that it tells you exactly where your mistake is. So you don't have to worry about it. So I have somewhere written away goal right over here. Okay, Control O, enter Control X. Once again, we have to go back to main folder, build packages, source, this one, and then run publisher. So yes, there is. Okay, the mistake. Did I not save it correctly? Did I not save it correctly? Self dot home team, home goal, away goal. So this is all right. Self home team, away team, home goal, away goal, goal time, match time. They are all right. So okay, here L is missing. If L is outside. You see, this is also a mistake. So let's revise this: home team, home goal, away team, match time in minutes, and that's it. Control O, enter Control X. ROS build package, source install setup bash. What is the next mistake? String. No, this is some conceptual mistake. We are calling some information and that should be string or something like that. Let's see. So I have to open this console script. So I checked this earlier, it was all right. Anything else? Message dot team, home team, this is all right. 964. So let's see. Let's open the file of publisher that we coded. The string mistake is actually here. I checked it already on ChatGPT. This should be inside. ChatGPT says that this is trying to subtract the string from each other. It is outside. However, we want to publish this. So Control O, enter Control X. I'm trying to ditch ChatGPT, but it still I need to go back to that. And then cd ROS2 build, and then source install. After that, run the code. I really hope, because I spent a lot of time recording this video. Once again, okay, the message is actually in two places, so I know where is the mistake already. So that dash was actually at two places. One was inside if, and one was right over here. So that's a silly mistake. Control O, Control X, cd ROS2, build, then source install, and then run the package that we created. And we have, I fixed it. It was in two places. I don't know. So Control O. To open this file right here, then add Clásico. Sure. Where is dash? I don't think I wrote dash anywhere else. Did you guys notice it? Somewhere. I don't think so. So Control O, Control X. Let me pause this video and find this mistake. So according to ChatGPT, the mistake is that we also have this line in the Python file. So we need to fix that. We will open this. I added that line just to make it fancy, but now it is annoying me. We can either add it over here inside that, or we can write these double dots, something like over here. Okay, so let's do that. ChatGPT actually pointed out one more key point, which I think is not a mistake. Once again, it says that don't write this self-destroy node. But previously I coded this. I uploaded a video last week. It was working for me. But let's follow ChatGPT now and see if it works. Save it. So we will go back to the main folder. Build, source, install setup.bash, and then run this code. I have a feeling we still have a mistake, but let's see. Oh, fortunately, no mistake. So it is publishing the information. You can see Real Madrid 0, Barcelona. I did not add spaces, so that's why it is next to each other. I should have added spaces over there. And then you can see at 9th minute, there is a goal scored by Real Madrid. So we got that message, and simulation is moving forward. You can see right over here, it is now Real Madrid 1. So we need to add some spaces over here between the goals scored, so it does not look like this. But and this dash, that was the last error that we fixed, and I placed it inside the parenthesis. I think it is called parenthesis. So you see it at each second, 1 second, at each second, 1 minute of simulation is performed for the football match. So I set the simulation time for 90 minutes. You saw that inside the code. I wrote if the match time is greater than 90 minutes, then after that, that portion of the code will be executed, and then simulation will stop. Once again, you can see Barcelona scored at 57th minute, and now we have Real Madrid 1. You can see right over here, and Barcelona 1. And simulation is performed. Let's see if we coded it correctly and it stops at 90th minute. We will see that just now. We have 2 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So we can see we also wrote this command in the inside of the if loop, that once 90 minutes are reached, full time Real Madrid 1, Barcelona 1. So let's fix these minor mistakes. They are not mistakes, but just let's make it a bit fancy by adding spacing over here. So how do we do that? Let's stop this, Control C. I will open this folder again. Nano, Clásico publisher, and we will go down right here. We had this goal scored here. So let's add this spacing after this. Okay. Let's add this spacing after this. So I think there will be much more spacing now. So Control O, enter, Control X, since I changed the publisher. So main folder, Kulkun, build, source, install setup, and then it will run the code. So you can see the simulations now. So I will run the code again. Sorry, I had a call, so I had to pause it. So let's run this. So we can see there is spacing now. Real Madrid 0, 0 Barcelona, and everything is fixed. It will also give me the notification. So okay, I will stop this now, and now we will create subscriber. Creating subscriber is actually much more easy than this. The time we spent in publisher is a lot more than we will spend in subscriber, because subscriber only needs to listen to this information that is sent by the publisher. So its code is actually very small and much more easy than this one. So how do we create subscriber? Let's do that quickly. It will not take long, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. If we don't make mistakes, we will have publisher and subscribers soon. So to stop the simulation, Control C, we go to that folder of package, to workspace, src, El Clásico, and then El Clásico again. So we can see we have a publisher over here. How do we create subscriber? So I was writing subscriber.py. That is also okay, but I prefer to write this package name with it. So when I have a lot of packages installed, I will not be getting confused. El Clásico subscriber. Trying to be careful with the spellings. So it will create this Python file, and then we have to fill it. So if you remember, there was actually a very simple structure for the code, and that we will do now. The first part was to import libraries, if you recall. So we will do it much more quickly now instead of explaining everything. So rclpy import libraries, that from rclpy, okay, from rclpy.node import, okay, and then from the interface package that we created. So what was the interface package? El Clásico interfaces import, and here we created this custom message file, El Clásico scoreboard. Okay, I just want to confirm it, so later on we don't have to do a lot of debugging. Control O, enter, Control X. So I can simply go to the code of my publisher, and the first few lines are actually related to that. So it is same as that one. El Clásico scoreboard. You can also copy paste directly from here. Okay, one mistake, I did not write dot message. Okay, don't forget this one. So I will open this file and write dot message over here. So this is the first part. Second part is to, let me break it down. Second part is class. So since we are creating this subscriber, so El Clásico scoreboard subscriber. So this should be okay. Be careful about this, and I told you previously and in this video also. Then next step is def init. Okay, inside this, we have to super initialize. Super, right, exactly like this. And then init, and then we have to name this. So El Clásico subscriber, I will name it like this. I don't remember what was the name, but it's okay if the name of the nodes are different, no problem with that. Then we have to create the subscriber. So now again, here I made a mistake when I started writing over here. We don't have to write here because it should be inside init. So we will create self dot subscription, okay, is equal to self dot create subscription. Now these brackets, but we have to fill information over here. So how do we do that? We call the custom message that we created, El Clásico scoreboard. It is written right up there. You can simply have a look here. Now this part is important. We have to name this topic same as the one that is used in the publisher. So I will come back to this again. And the next one, that it should store the information up to 10 data. This was for the publisher. But here it is slightly different. Instead of 10, we don't care. Even if I write 10, that's okay. But if I don't write 10 over here, that is also okay, because subscriber will only listen to the information that is available from the publisher. So what I can do here is that I will tell it that self listener. So we will create this listener callback later on, and then close this subscription. Next part, we have to create this listener callback. Okay, listener callback self comma message. Okay, and I should not forget about these double dots. They are very important whenever I create this definition of listener. Sorry, I made a mistake. I made a very big mistake. This should not be self, because I already wrote this here. So this should be this definition. I think this DEF stands for definition. So now, first of all, I should fill this the same name as with that of publisher. So let's see what we wrote in the publisher. So Control O, enter Control X. I will save this so I don't have to write it again. I will simply write El Clásico publisher.py, and it will print that code over here. And I will simply scroll up here. So the name was El Clásico goal score. Okay, so this should be same as that used in the subscriber. El Clásico score. El Clásico score. I just want to confirm it once again. So this should be El Clásico score. We can simply copy paste it as well. El Clásico goal score. Okay, so this is the mistake, you see. So I can open this. I can delete it and paste it here in order to avoid the mistake. Now, previously we created a publisher, but now we created a subscriber. So self.subscription is equal to self.create subscription, and we had to fill this with custom message, then the topic name that is used in the publisher, and then we have to create this listener callback. So this listener callback is actually important. This listens to the message sent from the publisher. So inside this, I will write self.get logger, right? I think you already know this info, and then this bracket. Inside this bracket, we have to write our message. So let's say receive from, this will be very big message, but okay, received from publisher. What did it receive? So we have to write message home team, which was defined there, right? Then space message home goal, right? Then space, then dash, then space, then message away goal, right? Then space, and then message dot away team. Okay, so I can simply break now this into parts. I told you earlier, just for easy Sorry. Oh my God, I made a mistake. Okay, sorry. Uh, this is not a mistake. Actually, if I have to break down this, then I have to use this double dots, or I think it is called semicolons, separately with each one of them. So I want to keep this in one line instead of breaking it down. What I can do is that I can actually write goal time over here, or match time. So let's write that one. What was the goal time? Let's write it as like this. Now, whatever I write outside this bracket, it will be printed as it is. But if I write it inside these brackets, it will read from the publisher. So this should be goal time. Okay. F received from publisher. Publisher. Received from publisher. Last time. So I'm intentionally leaving this E over here just to show you that it will be printed as it is. But anything inside this bracket, the variables, it should be correctly typed. This should be typed. So this is the message that should be listened by the subscriber, and I think that's it. That's it. Now the third part, if you remember, def or definition, I need to see the notes what exactly this def means. Args is equal to 1. Then rclpy dot init, args is equal to args. Then we should name and call this node which we defined up there. It should be same as that at Clásico for subscriber. Okay. And after that, rclpy dot spin underscore node. Then we have to shut down. We need to use rclpy. So in this main part, you can see rclpy, then node, then rclpy, then node, then rclpy. So you can memorize it this way. Okay. And then the fourth part, showing this thing. Fourth part is actually the easiest one, but often we make mistakes here due to this double underscores, this double dot. So you saw this coding of listener is actually much more easy as compared to the publisher. If there is no mistake, it will work and it will read the information, or it will listen the information from the publisher. I just want to go through it once more to confirm that we have no mistakes. rclpy, rclpy.node, import node, El Clásico interfaces. This is the message, custom message we defined. El Clásico scoreboard, and then you can name it anything you want over here. So I wrote this El Clásico scoreboard subscriber, quite a long name, but it's okay. Then we have definition in itself, and then, by the way, see here, so this will act inside the initialization, so we have to be careful about this. Okay? I don't want it to be inside that. So once again, I should set this. Okay. And set this here. It should be here. This should look right underneath, but I do it like this. So I hope this is not the mistake. They are aligned. like it's very sensitive to all this kind of stuff. So that's it. So Control O, enter, Control X. Now back to the main folder. Polygon build. By the way, I forgot one step. We need to add this subscriber to the setup file also. So cd ROS to workspace xrc el Clásico el Clásico. No, not in the Python module. You will see our setup file is over here. Nano setup.py. So I have to add this El Clásico subscriber.py. This one, El Clásico subscriber. So we can come here, right? Bottom. We don't need to do anything else with other part of the code. El Clásico subscriber is equal to El Clásico. This is the package name, then dot Clásico subscriber, and then main. That's it. Control O, enter, Control X. Now I will go back to the folder, then Polygon build. So instead of typing full command, I will just go up there, find the command and press enter. So there is you see the mistake. So the mistake is actually inside the El Clásico subscriber. I knew this would happen because when we were writing the code, we saw this already there. So I had an idea what would happen. File is here, nano El Clásico subscriber. Before that, I want to see in which line do I have this error. Line 18, it shows line 18. So let's see what is inside the line 18, 1, 2, 3. The mistake is somewhere in this listener callback from what I see. So please let me set all of this back here. I will just put it in one line so I can easily fix it. In fact, I'm thinking to write this once again to avoid mistake. I know it's a very long line, so it would be very confusing. So first thing first, we have to write this definition, installer, listener callback. I think my mind is very tired. I need some coffee. But anyways, let's write the code for this listener callback. So self.get. The good news is that there was no other mistake in typing. So info, get logger, info, and then inside this info we'll have a message. This is the command that we use for printing the information. So first one, received. I will not write long data now. Okay. Received message dot home theme. Okay. Then space message. I just want to run it and then we can play around with it. Dash message dot away message dot away theme. Okay. Next, I want to write. Okay, just let's run this. I will add the other commands later on because I just want to see if the spacing mistake has been fixed. So this is the code for the listener callback. I hope there will be no mistake now. Control O, enter, Control X. So we can find this right now. Polygon build, it will show us now if there is a mistake. So it did not point out a mistake now. So source, where is the source? Setup. Stop that. ROS to package executables. Oh, classify. I want to see if it is executable. Yes, it is executable. Now in two windows. In the first window, I will run publisher. In the second window, I will run subscriber. publisher was working earlier. So let's run that in this window, and then subscriber will be used in the another window, and it should listen to publisher. ROS2 run El Clásico publisher. Okay, so it is publishing information. So we are sure about our publisher. Now we will open another window. ROS2 run El Clásico package. Then we have El Clásico subscriber. If we have a mistake, it will point out directly over here. No executable found. So I think let me open this. Okay, now I think it will work. ROS2 run El Clásico subscriber.py. Okay, I don't know why it is showing me this, because earlier when I run this code, ROS2 package executables Clásico, so it showed me that I have this subscriber over here. So maybe I'm making some typing mistake. El Clásico subscriber. I will copy this and use it directly. ROS2 run El Clásico. So okay, in the above line I was writing .py with it, so that was a mistake. So I had to write it without the extension. So the problem here is that I have a mistake in this self creation. So I will simply fix this mistake and come back to recording the video again. Okay, ChatGPT already told me the mistake, and it's a very silly mistake. I had talked about it in the video previously, but I myself forgot to fix it. So let's open this El Clásico subscriber.py. So here I did not write 10, right? It should receive this information 10. So let's go back in folder, ROS2, workspace, open, build, packages, select, and Clásico package. Okay, it will update it. Hopefully no mistake, yes. Install setup.bash, hopefully no mistake. And now I will run this. Hopefully no mistake. Hopefully no mistake. Why is it stuck? I think I need to run the publisher again. So it was stuck. Now it was showing us the data. I will tell you the reason. It was stuck because the match was already simulated by 90 minutes and it was stopped. The publisher was not sending any data. Okay, so it was looking for nothing. What subscriber does is that it publishes data in real time. So if publisher, what subscriber does is that it reads or listens to the information in real time. So if there is nothing talked by or sent by publisher, it will do nothing. So that's why it was not working. When I run ROS2 El Clásico publisher again, so it started to receive the information. So let's go back to this first window. So if I write ROS2 run El Clásico publisher over here, now our match is started. So you see 0 minute, 1 minute. So here it has started to read again. Okay, I want to show you something very interesting. Let's clear this and now run this ROS2 run El Clásico underscore subscriber. So it will listen to it in real time. So if match is like at 60th minute, it will start to listen from that minute onwards. So you see, it is receiving the information. But if you recall, in nano command, I did not write the match time. So that's why it is not showing me the time. I was testing it. So you can see it's reading the information. So our code is correct. So let's add time into this as well. To workspace src Clásico Clásico. Okay. Here is our subscriber. Why? Now I will simply go down right over here in the logger. I will add the information of this as well. F goal sign. So it will receive the message goal sign. Okay. Let's add spacing. So and F match time. So I'm just writing this in small alphabets, okay, and this in capital, just to show you that whatever we write without these brackets will be published as it is. Message dot match time. If there is no typing mistake, it will work. Now, what we need to do is that we need to go to main folder, Volcon build. It will build files, the source, setup.bash. And before that, what we need to do is that we need to run the publisher. So simulations for the scoreboard is already finished. So what we need to do is that we need to run it. So it will start information sent by publisher, or you can say it is talking. Now we need a listener, that is a subscriber. So here I will simply go up to that code and it will start listening. So there is a mistake. I don't know what mistake it is. It's really annoying now. So the mistake is actually this one. If we want to add this commas, we have to log it separately. If we don't need to log it separately, we need to delete that. Control O, Control, then enter, and then Control X. CD ROS, Volcon build, and then source install setup.bash. Now, if I run subscriber now, it will not do anything because probably simulation have already ended over, and it will not be talking or sending information. So I need to run publisher first. Once publisher starts working, hopefully subscriber will work now. So you can see it has received Real Madrid 0, Barcelona 0, time is 0, match time is also this one. Now between Barcelona and goal time, I forgot to add the space, so that's why they are written next to each other. And you can see the goal has scored. So here we can also add a notification, a goal alert. So I would give you this an assignment or like a homework, or for your own practice, go to the custom message file, create a string there, or int32, this is also your assignment. Create a goal alert there, so goal underscore alert. You can create that. You simply have to add that command in your publisher and in your subscriber. So as soon as goal is scored over here, it will give us a goal alert and also an information that a goal has been scored. And here you can see the messages are displayed accurately. Don't worry about this spacing now because the message is too long, so it goes to the next line. If you remember, I was adding spaces right over there. So you can see Real Madrid 1, Barcelona 1, goal time. It shows the last goal time. So we can add this text as last goal time. It will show us that time over here. And then this information of match time. So you see as soon as it reaches 89 minutes. Okay, now why it stopped at 89th minute? Because this publisher does not publish information for the 90th minute. It directly says full time Real Madrid 1, Barcelona 1. So we can also do this, add another string for full time alert, and that will be published over here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I tried to explain to you custom messages, and now you will understand that I created a simulator for Real Madrid Barcelona football match, and I uploaded a video last week. I think it was a short video of 4 to 5 minutes. So you see what actually happens behind that. So we did all this programming, we created publishers, created subscriber. We also learned how to use custom messages, and you have a small assignment to add another string in your custom message for a goal alert, and you have to use that in your publisher and subscriber. So that's it for this video. I know at the end in the publisher there were few mistakes, but the good thing is that the mistakes were fixed live while we were coding this. So I wrote down each and every step in front of you and did not copy anything. So you, along with learning how to code this, you also learned how to debug our code. And the good thing about ROS2 is that it tells you exactly where is your mistake. So you simply have to go to that line and fix the mistake. So that's it about this video. Thank you for watching it, and I hope this helps you. If you have any suggestion for me, or if I made any mistake, how can I improve myself, please do let me know in the comments and I will work on that. Thank you and have a nice day.